Federal government opens discussions with abductors of train passengers less than 24 hours after families of victims cry out. Gunmen release 4 abducted students of Zamfara State College of Health Technologies, AFE. And on the foreign news, 5 killed in Russia strikes, blasts near Kiev. And in sports, Burnley sack manager Sean Dyche after 10 years. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Update. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. In detail. The federal government has opened a channel of discussion with the terrorists who abducted over 60 passengers of a Kaduna-bound train over 2 weeks ago, according to relatives of the victims. Speaking with journalists in Kaduna, relatives and friends of the abducted passengers on Friday said they have been assured by the federal government that the channel of discussion with the terrorists has been opened. This news comes at the expiration of a 72-hour ultimatum issued by the relatives to the Nigerian government to open discussions that will see to the release of the captives. The group admonished the Nigeria Railway Corporation against any attempt to resume the Kaduna-Abuja train service, stressing that priority should be on the safety and release of those in captivity. Meanwhile, the 4 abducted female students of the College of Health Science and Technologies AFE in Zamfara State on Thursday evening have been freed by their abductors. The Deputy Provost of the college, Jamilu Lawal, who confirmed their release via telephone, said they were freed unhurt. He said no ransom was paid before securing the freedom of the 4 female students who were abducted last Tuesday night in Tsafe town, headquarters of Tsafe local government area of Zamfara State. The Deputy Provost said the 4 female students have been taken to hospital for medical examination. Meanwhile, a policeman has been reportedly shot dead in Isuofia community in Agwata local government area of Anambra State. Isuofia is the community of Governor Charles Soludo. According to a source in the community, the gunmen stormed the junction where security operatives were stationed and opened fire. The spokesman of the Anambra State Police Command, DSP Ikenga Tochukwu, confirmed the attack but said no policeman was killed. Tochukwu also said the incident did not happen in the community but along the expressway, with 3 police officers sustaining injuries. He also said a vehicle was recovered with bloodstains showing that the hoodlums suffered some casualties. Community sources, however, insisted that the attack happened at Isuofia with a policeman shot dead. The United States has approved the sale of military equipment to Nigeria worth $997 million after U.S. lawmakers lifted objections over human rights concerns. The Defense Security Cooperation Agency, which announced the sale of the helicopters and other related defense systems to the Nigerian military on Thursday, said the weapons include 12 attack helicopters, 2,000 advanced precision kill weapons system guidance sections, and a night vision imaging system. Reports had suggested that the U.S. denied Nigeria's request over human rights concerns by the military, a claim the federal government refuted. However, the United States said the sale of the weapons is part of efforts to boost security for Nigeria. President Muhammadu Buhari says the executive arm of the government will continue to respect the judiciary within the boundaries laid out in the Constitution in order to strengthen the country's democracy. Speaking Thursday evening at the iftar dinner he hosted for the leadership of the nation's judiciary at the end of the daily fasting, President Buhari said order and discipline in society can only be established when the law applies to all, irrespective of position or status. The Chief Justice of the Federation, Justice Ibrahim Tanko Muhammad, attested to the President's non-interference in judicial matters, adding that in all the years of the President Buhari being in office, neither the President nor his appointees have come to ask for favors from the courts. This, the CJN said, is a mark of the President's maturity and political sagacity, adding that he is convinced that the same applies to other ministries and agencies of government. A statement from the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, said Justice Muhammad assured the President that justices of the Supreme Court and other judges across the court system who are doing their best in handling cases before them. And journalists have been called upon to eschew judgmental representations and present facts without exaggeration nor sensationalism. The call became imperative as the internet has negatively impacted the practice of journalism in its true form. Fatima Saleh-Laden has more.
A guest speaker, Samuel Arwan, who made the call at a seminar organized by the Kaduna State chapter of the Nigerian Union of Journalists Correspondent Chapel, said since Kaduna State is one of the states facing security challenges, it is pertinent for journalists to present only facts to ensure that reportage of violence is not exploited for pecuniary motives.
It's also important for journalists to invest in knowledge finding. But again, the media must be conscious that the future of our country, they have a role to play in shaping a better future for our country. And the media has a role to remember that as a journalist, I have been a beneficiary of integration. Today, the integration is not there. It is my duty to make sure that I do all that I can, to make sure that I play my own beat.
He says the media has a vital role to play in promoting peace through effective journalism.
As journalists, we have a duty. The peace of this country, the stability of our country depends on our ability. Everything that will happen will be shaped by us. But in a situation where journalists were not doing the right thing, our reporters are carried away or they are unshot of one interest or the other, there is going to be a problem.
Stakeholders at the event agreed that the media has the crucial task of creating balance between protecting freedom of expression and preventing harm caused by unrestrained free speech, and enjoined practitioners to ensure that such balance is created during their reportage. Fatima Saleh-Laden, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
You're watching Trust TV News Update. Still to come after the break, a look at how deforestation attracts global warming. This and more after the break. Do stay with us. Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us on Trust TV News Update. Now let's take a look at some of our top stories. We told you that the federal government has opened a channel of discussion with the terrorists who abducted over 60 passengers of a Kaduna-bound train over 2 weeks ago, according to relatives of the victims. And abducted students of the Zamfara State College of Health Technologies, AFE, have been released. And moving on to other news now, women across the world, especially in Africa, are emphatically rejecting inequality, which can no longer be tolerated. It was the view that Nigeria Women Trust Fund, in collaboration with civil organizations, called for a litigation for 35% affirmative action, inclusion of women in elective positions in the country. Mardia Umar reports that women across the country feel the action upheld by the court on the 6th of April 2022 is worth celebrating.
The press conference brings to the world the significance of the effort that has been made by Nigerian women through the legacy judgment of 35% affirmative action for Women in Nigeria from the Federal High Court in Abuja, with Falana and Falana Chambers providing probing support for litigation. The event was attended by the Minister of Women Affairs, representatives of the different civil society organizations, and other dignitaries.
If there are three takeaways from this decision, is the fact that the court has affirmed the legality of affirmative action in Nigeria and has basically said that the right to equality is entrenched in the Constitution and must be respected. So moving forward, I'm also happy to hear the minister commit and mention that the president is also with Nigerian women in upholding and implementing this decision. We have some appointments coming, and I think it's important we begin to play by the rules as the court has decided. Very soon there will be appointments of resident electoral commissioners before the next elections, because we have some states, over 20 states, there will be appointment of new resident electoral commissioners. It's important that we see the president work tough and stand by this decision by ensuring 35% affirmative actions in the appointment as we work to ensure the full composition of INEC.
The struggle in the National Assembly is not yet over. We are still pushing, and I'm confident that we will get there. The last struggle before the call of the occupying us, when they got in, they gave them 7 working days, and it has lapsed. We are hoping after this holiday, when they meet, we believe that some of the bills will pass through. We are also intensifying our advocacy, and it will not go in vain. I'm simply.
The women say they will not rest on their oars as the judgment bets the need to intensify advocacy for inclusiveness in all levels of government, especially as the 2023 general election approaches.
Equality, development, and peace.
Martia Umar, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Meanwhile, some poor and vulnerable women in Zamfara State have caused a smile as food items were distributed to them to enable them observe the Ramadan fast with ease. The First Lady of the state, Aisha Muhammad, extended the gesture to over 10,000 women in each of the 14 local government areas of the state. The report.
The holy month of Ramadan fast is a period where more privileged Muslims are expected to assist the less privileged and vulnerable ones within their localities as a way of assuaging the difficulty they would have had during the month. Doing this will attract Allah's blessings and build the bond of love, unity, and peace among the people. It is in the light of this, the Zamfara State's First Lady, Aisha Muhammad, distributed food items to over 10,000 poor and vulnerable women in each of the 14 local government areas of the state. The First Lady was represented by Fatima Musa, a special advisor in her office.
Our coming to Umaru and other 14 local governments is for the First Lady of the State, Aisha Muhammad, to flag off our Ramadan package across the 14 local governments for poor women and vulnerable women. Especially this holy month of Ramadan, we know that everybody is striving to ensure that once they break their fast, they have something very tangible and very healthy and nutritious to break their fast. So the First Lady has decided that this is a very good initiative for her to help women, support them with grains that will help these women to be able to break their fast with ease.
Some of the beneficiaries thanked the First Lady for the show of love and prayed God to continue to protect her and people of the state, especially from insecurity.
And now look at the environment, where deforestation can be seen as one of the major causes of global warming, and it is happening in key emerging economies like Nigeria. It is for this and other reasons that the Nigerian government set up policies to address the problem of deforestation in the country. Kabir Lawal reports that despite policies introduced, deforestation in Nigeria still persists. The report.
Put 1 tree down, plant 5 is one of the policies of deforestation in Nigeria. However, That is not the case today. People are cutting down trees daily as wood is used for various reasons and it is part of our daily lives. But as for companies as individuals cut more trees to make room for agriculture and industries, the whole planet suffers the after effects. Between year 2000 and 2005, Nigeria had the highest rate of deforestation in the world, a situation that is worrisome to stakeholders as it can lead us to loss of ecosystem, loss of biodiversity, land degradation and soil erosion, among other things. In the 1950s through 1980s, large areas of land were reserved as protected areas, growing species of plants, but that is no longer obtainable in most areas. Research shows that if people in the country continue cutting down trees at the current rate, the forest may reach its breaking point. Kabir Lawal, Trust TV News, Abuja.
A 22-year-old man, Ahmed Yahya, who is a local barber in Firo community in Ganjua local government area, is calling on youth in the area to venture into entrepreneurship instead of relying on politicians for formal jobs. The call, he says, became imperative as formal or white-collar jobs continue to become difficult to secure for the common man in the country. Trust TV's Adamu Imam looks at how Ahmed was transformed while in the business. The report.
Ahmed Yahya inherited the local way of barbing from his father, and he is proud of it. Yahya, who is a secondary school leaver, says he developed his skills from barbing by joining his father after closing from school to learn the art of the trade using traditional tools.
With this business, I used to get at least 1,500, and this is enough for me to take all my responsibilities. So I'm calling for the youth to stop following politicians. They should stop wasting their time.
Beyond saving for his academic pursuit, Yahya says he is now prepared to transition from using traditional tools of the trade into more recent and modern ways of barbing.
I do it with myself, and I get and from that business, from that small business, I get this and I proceed with this container. And now I'm preparing to make it good and clear, to make it a barber shop.
Two of Yahya customers, Malam Bako and Adamu Maywalda, says they enjoy and still prefer the traditional barbing salon and its tools as against what is obtainable today. We enjoy this local barbing because it removes all the dirty in our heads. So also they usually wash the head thoroughly with local chemicals, no rashes. That is why we prefer this to that of modern ways of using clippers nowadays. When they barb us, we feel fresh air in our heads, and it kills our dandruff. That is more reason why we patronize him. And above all, he has a human relations. We don't have any problem with Ahmed in this community. Meanwhile, Yahya has assured that he is willing to train youth in the area who are interested in taking to barbing, a trade, he says, is capable of sustaining anyone who is committed to it. From Firo Ganjua, Bauchi State, Adam Imam, Trust TV News.
You're still watching Trust TV News Update. The news continues after this. Stay with us.
Every patriotic Nigerian should hear this. Any politician who means well for the people will never allow themselves or their supporters to engage in any violent, destructive activities. No politician who truly wants to serve the people and develop the nation will encourage his followers to destroy properties or take human lives before, during, or after the elections. The Nigerian public must watch out for these traits and isolate any politician who encourages supporters to engage in violence. No genuine politician or patriot will cause trouble and seek to destroy the very society which they aspire to lead or develop. Politicians who have the good of the people at heart will not allow themselves or their followers to engage in violence, destruction of properties, and then taking of lives. Be vigilant. By their words you shall know them. Shun violence. Stay away from politicians who want you to do so. Let's join hands to make the 2023 elections peaceful. This message is from the National Orientation Agency, NOAA.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us on Trust TV News Update. Now, lawmakers are set to relocate from their main chambers to temporary venues for plenary as renovation of the National Assembly complex begins. This was disclosed in a statement by the Special Advisor on Media and Labour to the Clerk of the National Assembly, Adesoro Austin. The contractor has 16 months to execute the job with alternate arrangements in place for the plenary. Members of the House of Representatives are expected to utilize the halls on the first and second floors of the House of Representatives' new building. There is also a plan to use teleconferencing technology to link all lawmakers who may not be able to find seats in the committee room. And now a look at business, where the IMF has announced plans to raise at least $45 billion for a new trust to help low-income and vulnerable middle-income countries cope with protracted challenges like pandemics and climate change. According to the World Bank collection of development indicators, Nigeria is among lower middle-income countries with a gross national income, GNI, of per capita of 2,157 in 2019. The Washington-based Crisis Lenders Resilience and Sustainability Trust, RST, will come into effect May 1st and is in addition to a $650 billion boost to reserve assets called Special Drawing Rights allocated earlier this year. The spring meetings will take place virtually from April 22nd to 25th. The goal of the trust is to redistribute funds from wealthier countries to more vulnerable ones as members look to support global economic recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic. Around three-quarters of the IMF's 190 members will be eligible to borrow from the new tool, it estimates. And now a quick look at the foreign scene, where Ukraine on Friday said that Russian strikes had killed 5 people in the east of the country after President Volodymyr Zelensky said Moscow's forces were aiming to destroy the region. A report issued by the presidency, Kyiv said 2 people had been killed and 2 more wounded in the eastern Lugansk region, while another 3 had been killed and 7 wounded in the neighboring Donetsk region. The presidency said fighting was continuing along the entire front line in Donetsk. In a late-night address Thursday, Zelensky said that Donbass is the main target for Russia. The statement added that explosions were heard in the Vasilkiv area outside the capital, adding that air defenses had been activated. And now for a look at sports, where English Premier League side Burnley Football Club have announced they parted ways with English manager Sean Dyche after being at the helm of affairs of the club for almost 10 years. The club also confirmed the axing of assistant manager Ian Woan, first-team coach Steve Stone and goalkeeping coach Billy Mercer. In a statement by the chairman, Alan Pace, the club decried the disappointing results this season and added that with 8 crucial games of the campaign remaining, a change is needed to give the squad the best possible chance of retaining its Premier League status. Pace said the process of replacing Sean had begun and further announcements will be made to supporters in due course. Dyche held the record for the longest-serving manager in the Premier League, overseeing one of the most successful periods in the club's history. And that wraps up Trust TV News Update for this hour. Don't forget, you can subscribe and follow us across all our social media platforms. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Thanks for joining us.